Massive protests erupted in Sri Lanka on Saturday amid a severe economic crisis, and protesters stormed into the official residence of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Protesters also set Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's house on fire. Let's have a look. After a group of protesters entered the private residence of Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and set it on fire amid a massive public protest in the country over the unprecedented economic crisis. The incident came hours after Wickremesinghe offered to resign to make way for an all-party government as protests intensified in the country for the resignation of the government led by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. In another development, Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has announced he will step down after protesters stormed his official residence and set the Prime Minister's house on fire. Rajapaksa will step down on July 13. The Speaker of Parliament said the President decided to step down to ensure a peaceful handover of power and called on the public to respect the law. Meanwhile, protesters who stormed President Rajapaksa's house claimed to have recovered a large sum of money from the mansion. It was reported that the recovered money was handed over to the security units. Now, what next if Lanka President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns? Mr. Rajapaksa's sudden departure has raised questions as to whether he will remain in office, and if not, what happens next in the crisis-hit country. Sri Lankan constitution says that if the office of president becomes vacant prior to the expiration of his term of office, Parliament shall elect the president from one of its members. The successor will hold office for the rest of the period of the term of the office of the resigning president. How will the process take place? Parliament should meet within 3 days of the President's resignation. At such a meeting, the Secretary General of Parliament is required to inform the Parliament about the President's resignation. If more than one person is nominated for the post, a secret ballot should be taken and the person should be elected by an absolute majority of votes cast. What happens in the period before the selection of the new President? According to the presidential line of succession in Sri Lanka, the next in line to be president for the period will be the Prime Minister. Thus, Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe could become the acting president for less than a month until the Parliament elects a new president. Till this time, the Prime Minister shall appoint one of the other ministers of the cabinet to act in the office of the Prime Minister if needed.